I'm gonna get to Billboard in a second, but I just want to give 50 Cent his flowers because it's just sometimes I lose track of time. It's been 20 years since the release of Get Rich or Die Tryin', one of the greatest hip hop albums to me of all time. But as myself being an inspired artist, with just rapping and doing songwriting and writing films and different screenplays, 50 is definitely a legend in here. And I think people forget the influence and impact he had on the culture and itself. What's up, blessed ones? You are now blaring the podcast. Brought to you by AB1 Studios. Thank you for your time. Listening. You want to know something else, blessed ones? So I don't want to get too deep into it on this episode in particularly, but 50 was ranked 17 out of the 50 greatest rappers of all time by Vibe and Billboard. Now, despite what a lot of people feel about that, because I didn't see certain people make comments about it. I know Cube who was actually ranked 18. He had expressed hey, Billboard, they ain't hip hop or whatnot, and Ja Rule, who is definitely no stranger to 50. He's not even on the list. And despite how I feel, about whether or not he belongs there or not, 50 Cent definitely is, one of the greatest, because just basing on the list that Billboard and Vibe did, I see kind of like it's not just based on lyrics, rap. It can be, so I didn't get a chance to run all the way through as far as what the criteria was. But because I recently just did a 50 Cent playlist, which you can listen to and stream on Apple Music, link in bio. And he is a fellow Cancer. One of the greatest hip-hop albums, rap albums of all time, Get Rich or Die Tryin', is 20 years old now. Was number one for a while. And Valentine's Day is coming up. Valentine's Day is probably, you might as well say tomorrow. Might as well just be the rest of the month. Black History Month. Because he did release Candy Shop originally named St. Valentine's Day Massacre, but it just turned into the massacre. But anyway, period. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Tryin' alone would put anybody in a versus with him. Because I talked about this before with Gang, Wayne, Yeezy. He talked about verses, like who could do a versus. And, 50 is someone who I think would be able to do one. I know John Fat Joe had done one already, and they, and I'll be honest, um, Ja Rule and the 50 Cent verses would be dope, but for reasons we all know why that probably would never happen. However, I just wanted to, you know, give 50 his flowers. Whether he hears this or not, I just wanted to express just how much I appreciate this guy because he has been from where he's from. And again, I'm not within the circles and in those positions to say who's from where, who's not from where. But 50 Cent definitely been from where he's from, Southside Jamaica, Queens, New York. Rapper, despite him having Dr. Dre, Compton, Eminem, Detroit, Interscope, Jimmy Iovine behind him, this man transcended the culture. And a lot like L, and a lot like Jay-Z, and a lot like Diddy, and many others who kind of got into, fashion and television and other ventures. 50 Cent, like I said, is definitely one of the greatest of all time. So, Billboard vibe. I'm not going to do what everybody else did. I thought about it, but I'm not going to do what everybody else did because I am still, again, I'm a man of faith, who just love hip hop. Y'all don't want, even though a lot of times people don't acknowledge Christian hip hop as part of the culture. But just remember, God did. God did. But really mainly just shout out to 50, yo, because I'll tell you what, like, with so much that he's done musically, he don't even have to rap. And, just from news that's been revealed already, he did an interview and sat down with Billboard and, like I said, he has the Power series that's still going on Stars. He has the BMF, that's going on Stars. I believe, Get Life, I believe I haven't been able to see it. It was on Fox at the time. But also, he's working with Dr. Dre and Eminem once again, and I think that whatever he has that's working on with them, such as In the Club and part of, the success of his career is going to be great. And with Nas dropping Kings of These 4 sometime soon, I believe this is going to be one of those ongoing series at this point, so, and I'm all for it. So 50 and Nas are going to be working on some things on King Disease, and I'm excited about it. But I really just want to do this because with everything that hip hop means to me, and a lot of these guys who are on the top 50 list, it's like, it's top 50. So how can we not talk about 50? The irony of it all. Because like I say, I think, I think Get Rich or Die Tryin, like I already said, is one of the greatest rap albums. And like I said, 50 isn't even really like a all lyrical dude, but like I said, he had like from start to finish. That was one of the first rap albums that I listened to from start to finish. I remember, like I told this story all the time. Of course, there's L, And of course, there's Pac and everybody who I listened to growing up as a kid. You know, Kid and Play. You know how I really got heavy on rapping was Fabulous. But then I remember then getting the College Dropout and getting the Get Rich or Die Tryin', and then so on and so on. That was like that was albums like 50 Cent became one of my favorite rappers, and it might have been because he was probably like one of the guys I kind of first really started listening to, like because I wasn't listening to rap like that when I was younger. I remember it's funny people used to call me 50 Cent because I guess the comparison of me with the do-rags and hats and me mumbling, I guess not understanding me or nothing like that. But this man, like say he didn't have vitamin water, he didn't have a clothing line. He had a video game, for Christ's sakes. Like nobody has that. You had the Def Jam Vendettas and Fight for New York, but this dude had his own personal video game. Even though we wasn't able to he wasn't able to fight on it because I haven't played the second one. But even though he wasn't able to fight on it, the game Bulletproof is dope. Like that was a dope game. I had that on my Xbox. Like I remember, like the even the track list was dope. Like I said, man, 50, he did something a lot of artists haven't done their whole career. Like artists who's been in the game longer than him, who's been successful musically, wasn't able to do what he was able to do. So it's like kind of like he has the animal ambition, hustler's ambition, because like you're not gonna tell this man, like this dude being shot 9 times in front of his house, having people just try to take him out for reasons that don't even matter at this point, and still do what he can do. Because a lot of people, there are people who will get this invincibility mindset once something traumatic like that happens to them and just start wilding out. But 50 became smarter, but like I said, his grind is just unmatchable. Like, no disrespect to Diddy, who's been in the game for decades, still doing it, still one of the biggest self-promoters, I always say. Jay-Z, another mogul who became a millionaire outside of rap. Because these guys didn't, but like Diddy wasn't getting these deals from rapping. Jay didn't get a lot of these deals from rapping. Like that was their introduction, but their rap money isn't seeing the other money that they get. But again, that we have to pay homage, because without hip hop, without rap, like I said, they probably wouldn't have it. But my main bottom line is just like certain things, what 50 is that hunger. And I don't say this a lot, but he's an influence of mine. I hope to meet him one day. I hope to work with him one day, someday, somehow, some way, even get some tips or advice, because see, I like to write, scripts and different storylines, and it's like I said, he's an actor. He's like one of my he was in this there was a movie forgot the name of it. But like I said, he took. I think it was based on a true story where, like, I think he had like some type of cancer, he lost a lot of weight and all that. And it was dedication, and I said like that was like, man, this dude really like he's doing it all. And then even like in his films, like his shows, like Power, the Raising Canaans and those type projects. It's like, man, this man, because you gotta think like there's certain people who can do multiple things at one time. Like, we talk about Tyler Perry, all of like how he had these writers and stuff, but it's like this, like Tyler Perry's another guy. Drake's another one, but like 50 Cent, like I said, this man got like, again, just based on what we see, what I know, he has all these different business ventures, and regardless of how much money he has, how much money he don't have, he definitely, to me, I will just say this, he can possibly deserve to be in the top 10, 50 Cent, to me. Just based off, just because, like, because I will say, when you're a rapper, and then you transcend the culture and transcend over to another form of entertainment, that really adds to your greatness as a rapper. Because even like same thing with L. Like L's another one. He's another guy who came from rap, built a career off rap, had a success in rap, and then like honestly, people forget that LL Cool J was a rapper. People forget that Will Smith was a rapper. People still know 50 used to be a rapper, but it's like that doesn't, like, his career is like so past it now. Like I said, he doesn't necessarily have to do it anymore. But Get Rich or Die Tryin', 20 years. I want to know what your favorite record was on that album, because if we go down the track list, like we got, we gotta think about it like this, right? Get Rich or Die Tryin' came out in 2003. I might have been in 10th grade. 10th grade when that came out. So I was 15 almost. I was 15 going on 16. But you have Dr. Dre and Eminem who produced the album, and that's a machine in itself right there. Like, you can't lose with Dr. Dre. Can't really lose with Eminem neither. And then being on the Interscope, and then having, already kind of having your street cred in the streets, from the streets, coming in, because I remember the Power of the Dollar and, Guess Who's Back mixtapes, and just hearing about how to rob. It's like, oh man, this dude he's coming at everybody, but he's breaking doors down. But I want to look at this track list, because we have In the Club being the first single, or Wangsta being the first single. And again, of course, he was already, beefing with Ja Rule and whatnot. But when you look at What Up Gangsta, Patiently Waiting with Eminem, Many men in the club, Power of Time, Heat, If I Can, Bloodhound, which is probably maybe my least favorite, but that had Young Buck on it. Back Down, which was a Ja Rule disc. PIMP, Poor Little Rich, 21 Questions, Don't Push Me with Lloyd Banks and M. Gotta Make It Heaven. Like, that's a no skip. No skip. Get Rich or Die Tryin, 20 years. This is when albums was still maybe 13 or more records. And this dude went platinum. Multi-platinum, what was it? First week? And then you having Wankster and You Not Like Me and Life on the Line. Like, these are, PRP remix. These are like kind of like special albums. And then I remember when I first, like, I got his album, Get Rich or Die Tryin, and then I got this little home video type DVD, kind of like when, with, him introducing Lloyd Banks and G Unit and stuff. Because remember, this is why, I remember, I think, him going at everybody, like, he didn't want Fat Joe, Jada Kiss, Ja Rule, of course, and then, I think him and Nas had a little small little thing. Ross, Khaled, all these things I documented. But it's certain things, like, again, like, this man, it's almost kind of like we grew with 50, man. Like, I was in high school when 50 was dropping. And then as I got older, and it's like, as other artists started coming out, like I said, 50 is definitely like he can definitely be on somebody's Mount Rushmore, if I'm being 100% honest. I think there wasn't no bigger artist than 50 until Drake. Because we can say we want about Wayne as far as like his success and just how consistent he was. But I'm gonna be honest. This to me, Drake is a bigger superstar. Like Lil Wayne had a presence. Of course, he's rapping, but like Drake was a superstar. Nicki was a superstar. And maybe it was just a thing because, Wayne, like I said, you never seen him, ever being kind of like, commercial like that. Like he paved the way for Nicki and Drake to be able to do that. But like I said, since 50 Cent, I'm trying to think, since 50 Cent, nobody's really been a bigger hip hop entity until Drake and Nicki, I'll say. Because I'm trying to think, because Jay wasn't even Jay until after, like, maybe probably Ozzy came back. I mean, Kingdom Come was still a great album. A lot of people didn't like it, but you have artists like Jay-Z. You have artists like Snoop Dogg. He's the biggest. He was the biggest rap star. He's probably the biggest deal. But like Snoop Dogg is another one. Like he's just Snoop. Like you don't even look at him as like a rapper or actor. Nothing. He's just Snoop, yo. Like same thing with Shaq. He's just Shaq. But yeah, like 50 Cent, he's in that middle line. Like if you grew up in the 90s, like me, you can still appreciate hip hop for what it was with 50 Cent. And then as it got later on, as hip hop started getting more and more commercial, because hip hop was already commercial before 50 Cent came, but 50 Cent even made it more commercial, but it was still, still street, still hood. But like I said, it's just from my experience and what I see. I mean, there's people who know more than me, but it's like just me being, 80s baby growing up in the 90s, listening to R&B, listening to some rap, and then like as time progressed, like 98, 99, Biggie was gone, Pop was gone. I remember, Pun before, he left, but like when 2000s hit, you know, you had Jay, Nas, L was still, he was already like out in, Hollywood doing his thing, still had Snoop and stuff, but it was Jay, Nas, had a lot of different guys, Diddy was still, doing it with Bad Boy, but Cash Money started running. You had Juvenile, like, cause again, like people be, which is kind of wild because I'm trying to think if Juvenile was on the list because Juvenile had one of the biggest hip hop records of all time too. But again, I'm not going to discuss it because again, it's like one of those things, subjectiveness, and then it becomes another thing. But yeah, like hip hop saved me in a different way than it probably saved somebody else. Like me, I wanted to rap, but when I started rapping, I was rapping kind of like I would hear certain songs and then I would write songs and try to like imitate the cadence and the flow of it, but just have my own lyrics to it. Cause this is before like like doing instrumentals. Like I used to remember listening to instrumentals, like even like probably like when I was 18, 19, 20s and stuff, I was doing instrumentals, rapping. But yeah, 50 was probably like one of the guys who inspired me to rap. And then, like I said, 50 is like I mean, not 50, but Fab was one of the guys who I was really like started listening to heavy. Like when I, was like, okay, this is my artist right here. Because, you had Kid and Play, you had the J's, the Nas, Pox, had the LLs. Like I didn't listen to a lot of the older guys. Like I was familiar with Kim, Rakim. I was familiar with, Big Daddy Kane and Slick Rick and, Brand Nubian. I was familiar with the pioneers of hip hop, but I didn't listen to him. Like L Cool was probably the only guy who I listened to. Like even with Run DMC, I know I was familiar with him, and I was familiar with Public Enemy, but I didn't listen to him. And then the Roots, was another group that I wasn't really too familiar with because it was like they was a band, and I just know there was one guy rapping, Black Thought, and I was like, oh, I remember with Erykah Badu, and I was like, okay, I like this group, but again, still being a kid, I would catch videos here and there. But like I said, when 50 Cent hit, that was a whole nother thing. It's like Fabulous was already still there, but like when 50 Cent came in, it was like, oh, that was when it was like I had another connection. Because again, the dude was everywhere. And then that's when because of course because by that time when 50 came, like I was in high school, I was into girls then. Like I was out here, in the streets, not in the streets like that, but I was in the streets, ripping, running around with my boys and, just doing it and stuff, learning to drive, do all that stuff. Now you can kind of start blasting rap and stuff. But yeah, like I do feel like 50 deserves his flowers. He does need to be a little lower on the list. As far as like I don't think he needs to be high in 17. He can like I say he can be in the top 10 at most. Even if not in the top 10, he can probably be, rotated up, rotated down. But yeah, like shout out to 50, yo. Again, he's a cancer like me. He can have that sensitive side. But see, the thing difference between me and him is, he's going in. He's going like something like he's going to go in on. So I have a little bit more restraint, but hey, 50 Cent's not the guy you want to trifle with. But yeah, that's just my little story. Yo. Like that's just one of my stories of hip hop because, if you think of rapper like a hip hop mogul, and like I mentioned this before, and like I said, y'all can go on Apple Music and listen to the playlist. You probably won't hear a lot of the bigger records because the playlist wasn't really about that. Wasn't really necessarily about what was like his big records, but it was just evolution. It was about the success, celebration, elevation, motivation. But yeah, I'll leave y'all with that. Just tell me what y'all think. Like, what's your favorite 50 Cent record? What rank would you put his songs? Who could he do a verses with? Who do you think he should be on the Mount Rushmore? Like, I'm interested. Let's talk about it. We don't talk about a lot of these things. Like when we get these lists, and then people talk about these much more. Like we don't really discuss it. We just kind of like accept it a lot of times. As far as like, okay, people will have rebuttals, but it's like we don't talk about, all we do is complain and rebut. But it's like we need to have these conversations as far as what they do, what these rappers do, how this rapper influenced you. That's mainly more so what I wanted to say is how this rapper influenced you. But yeah, y'all stay positive, stay productive, and prosperous. Stay safe, most of all, because you ain't gonna feel safe listening to 50. You might feel strong, you might feel tough, but you ain't gonna feel safe. But y'all know I'm out.